fish nerd. A fish nerd. A fish nerd.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jason with Jadren Aquatics. How is everyone doing today? So, let's talk about the weather. Texas, you know, where it's always hot. Today is March 2nd. And they are beginning to they're beginning to de-ice the bridges because it's supposed to be 25 degrees tomorrow and raining on a Sunday in March. This weather here is absolutely crazy. All the stories you hear about the crazy weather in Texas, it's all the truth. I can vouch for it. So today, I'm gonna give you a little bit of update of what is going on in the fish room. Some changes that are being made. The expansion, where exactly I am on that, and how I'm proceeding. So first of all, I want to talk to you guys about something. If you listen in the fish room, you can hear all the bubbling happening. It's actually less than it used to be. So originally, when I put in all of my sponge filters, I have all Hydor 5 sponge filters in every single tank. Bigger tanks have 2 of them. And so when I first put them in there, I used these simple stone air stones, okay? I put them in every single one of them, but I quickly realized that these things would begin to clog, and it took a lot of pressure for these things to push air through them. And again, when you're running I have a linear piston pump that pushes air through, and so anything that slows that air down makes it have to work harder, so therefore less air, get to less tanks. Well, I realized these things do not work well at all. Now remember, these are the cheap air stone ones. These are the ones you get from Walmart, PetSmart, Petco. That's the black one. Same thing, they both suck. So I decided to stop using those, so I began to pull them off, and then I found where I could order some of these non-clog type. And so I put these on all of them, and some of these were completely clogged and didn't work. Some of them worked a little bit better, but it still seemed to be just too much pressure had to be put on these things. And then also someone did a video talking about if you listen, you probably can't hear it, but there is actually a piece of metal that's in here to keep these things, whatever they do, I don't know, something to do with it not clogging, I guess. But these things can pop open and that thing can actually rust and cause problems with the water, so on and so forth. These suck too, so I took these out. So I finally just removed them all. So all I had was straight air pumping through there, and so it was causing a tremendous amount of noise, which I don't really care because I like the sound out here, but I don't really like it when I'm filming out here because it absorbs a lot of, or it takes away from you being able to hear me. But I didn't really think much about it. Well, when Paige was watching one of my videos, Paige from Texas Aquatics, he made a mention of it. He said, why don't you get these ceramic stones? All right, tell me more about them. He said at Gemco they make a stone that looks like these, but it's actually made out of ceramic, and these things work fantastic, and they work forever, and they almost never clog. So I decided I would check them out. So I went ahead and I bought some. And when I say some, I mean a lot of them. And so these guys, they're a little bit longer, but literally when you take them and you blow on them, it doesn't take very much pressure to blow on them. Whereas you take this, I know you're thinking, Jason, what are you doing sticking this thing in your mouth? What is seriously wrong with you? I know. It takes a tremendous amount more pressure to blow on this than it does on this one. So that's what I'm in the process of doing right now, is I'm replacing every single one of the 70-something sponge filters that I have. I have about 30 or 40 of the 10-gallon tanks done, but I still have all the rest to do. So the sound in here is literally half of what it used to be. So that's the first thing going on in the fish room. We're getting all these changed out. and very excited that Paige told me about that. And also in the process of doing that, it allows me to take the sponge filters out and go ahead and clean the sponge filters before I put another one back in, because that's one thing with maintenance in here that I fall behind a lot. When you got 70-something sponge filters, they can get clogged a little faster than you might realize. Next thing I did is, when I'm looking at a lot of my tanks, the light coming off of those plastic tops kind of blinds me, and it makes it harder to see the tanks above them. So what I decided to do is, if you look back here, you can see these things. I made these little simple covers to put on those to block the light out, and it causes a whole lot less glare when I'm using the camera, and it doesn't hurt your eyes as much when you're looking at the tanks. Now, when I first bought that stuff, I bought it to put down along the bottom of all of the stands so that it looks nicer. Just a second, I'll show you guys what it is that I'm talking about. And so I was trying to find some stuff that would work pretty well. This stuff is actually, I bought it at like, not Michael's, not Joann's, but Hobby Lobby. I bought it at Hobby Lobby. It's actually the stuff that, like, if you look on a couch, underneath a couch, there's just stuff stapled in there to keep stuff from all falling out of the couch. That's what this material is. I have no idea what you call it, but it seems to work pretty good, and it seems to stay cleaner than I had expected. So let me go ahead and show you those, and then we can walk around and look at some of the other stuff that we're doing. Okay, so you can look down here at the bottom. That's where I've put all these down here at the bottom. And so you can see over here, I've put these. And again, it's diffusing the light, not diffusing the light, it's blocking the light out. Because this one was really bad. Like when you open this one, man, it makes it hard to see. Oh, especially this one. This one causes so much glare that it's hard to see into the shrimp tanks. But as you close it, it makes it a whole lot easier to see. So that is the first change that we have made. So let's go ahead and walk around the corner. Yes, this wall right here still has to go. It hasn't been warm outside enough for me to knock this wall down so that I can rebuild it so it hooks into the other wall correctly. So that's still something that has to be fixed. Okay, coming around the corner here. Okay, so you can see that I have got the first stand built. You can see that there are tanks all over the place. These tanks I all bought at Pet Supply Plus. 2 or 3 people were kind enough to tell me that they also run a $1 per gallon tank sale. So that's where I got those at. But the good news is tomorrow, which is March the 3rd, I've heard from people that Petco is about to put theirs on sale. So I'm gonna start going up and snatching up all the 20 longs that I can find. And so this stand right here, I couldn't really decide what to do with this area beside this tote, because I've got to make some kind of aisleway to be able to walk to get to the other side here. So what I finally decided to do is just to build this one, which would hold 3 20 longs, and then on top I'll have 3 29s on top. And so the 3 29s are going to be all just angelfish breeding tanks, and then these are probably going to be mostly Plecostomus and Cory cat tanks. Now originally when I started talking about doing this, I did not want to turn the tanks this direction because I wanted to be able to view them better, but because of this space right here, I would have only been able to get like 3 tanks in there if I did it that way. So just for the mere fact of being able to get more tanks, because we all need more tanks, I decided to do it this way, so that way we would have 9 tanks instead of just 3. But all the rest of the stands and stuff that I'll build over here in this area, I will make them so that you can see the whole 20 long side. So I've never actually done a video on how to build a stand, and part of the reason is I'm not the greatest person in the world at doing it, but everyone I build gets better and better and better. All I can tell you is when you're building a stand, to use a leveler over and over and over and over and over. You cannot use a leveling gauge enough as you're building these things. This one is the straightest, truest one that I've ever built, that you can actually take this leveling gauge right here and put it up against it, and this thing is actually nice and straight and up and down. So that's my biggest suggestion, is that's what you want to use more than anything. So these are built, there's 2x4s here and there's a 2x4 here. That way it has a spot for the edge of the tank to sit. So there is it's overly engineered for the amount of weight that's going to be on here, because each 20-gallon tank, even with rocks and stuff, is only going to be about 190, max 200 pounds. So you can see that I painted it black like all the other ones, but there's a funny story behind that. I'm at Lowe's with my son trying to decide what am I going to do about painting these things. Well, no, actually I went there just to buy black paint. But as I'm there, I'm looking around at some of the other paints, and I see some paints that I'm thinking, man, these paints are cool. I think I might want to paint my tank this color. And the next thing you know, I've bought like 6 or 7 cans of, get ready for it, this color paint. Yes, I initially painted this entire stand fluorescent pink, and as I'm painting it, I'm disliking it more and more and more. So I finished the entire stand in this fluorescent pink, and I'm like depressed that I just wasted $20 in paint, and I don't think I can keep this thing colored this color. I tell my wife about it. She says, you're insane. It needs to be black. Everything else in your fish room is black. So next thing you know, I'm back to Lowe's buying the black paint I should have bought in the first place and repainting the whole thing black so that everything matches. So got a little crazy, but sometimes that just happens. Oh, one other thing also is down here I have got a wet saw. Just bought this. As you can see, I haven't even opened it yet because I'm going to start working on learning how to build my own plecostomus caves. It'll be a whole lot cheaper with all these tanks that are need plecostomus caves. So I figured I'd go ahead and buy that and begin to learn how to cut down some of the slate or ceramic tile to build some of the cool caves that you see. I realized that I need some other space to kind of table space. So I'm building a top to this. Right now I've only got this first piece, but I'm going to also put a piece over here. Since that's kind of just all wasted space, it kills me that I have all this open space right here. I just feel like it's such a waste, like something has to go here, but I don't know what to do. But either way, I'm just going to use that as some storage space. So let's go ahead and let me kind of show you the way that I am currently doing these tanks. So one of the things is once I got this stand built and I started realizing all the stuff that I still had to do. And that is the idea that I have to drill every single one of the tanks. I've got to plumb them. I've got to run all of the line to get the water drainage. I had to get the drip system put in there. And it just started overwhelming me. And I started thinking, what have I done? Why am I doing this? This is going to be 1,000 hours of work to do all the rest of this. But it is what it is, so I've started pushing forward. So let's go ahead and let's look. These 2 tanks right here, I've just drilled not too long ago. Typically I paint them first. As you can see down there, those are painted. I paint them on the back, and then I'll paint it on the side so that the fish can't see into the next one. So this is just a simple guide that I've made that I put here so that I can line it up on the corner, and then I take this thing and just lock it down. That way I can put the diamond hole saw bit into that and drill through that. I've done so many of these tanks now, it's become extremely easy to drill. The only problem is I've been using the same bit for a really long time, so I'm not 100% sure exactly when this thing is dull, because I don't remember how long it typically takes. So I'm not really sure about that. I'm thinking about buying another bit just to try it, so I kind of have an idea of when this thing gets dull. But it's still cutting through, and it doesn't seem to have any problems, so who knows. All right, there you go. There is the update of what's going on in the fish room and all of the stuff that I got going on. As you can see, I've got a tremendous amount still to do. And again, man, it's just overwhelming. Because even one of the things that I left out is I got to make tops for all the tanks. So, man, I just forgot how much there is to do when you start over from scratch. It is a long, laborious, labor of love undertaking. But the ability to go out and buy more fish absolutely makes it worth it. All right. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure and leave a comment down below if you've got a question or concern. Looking forward to seeing tons of you guys at Aquashella on March 30th and 31st in Dallas. So thanks again, guys, and God bless.